yeah. Woo, welcome back to the Arizona Daily Mix. Let me tell you a story about the music we're listening to. We have an amazing sales team here. And Holly, who is one of our salespeople, came in and saw Mike Petrie, our director, and our Polish director, by the way, Mike Petrie and I, came in and said, oh, I really want you to listen to this music. It's awesome, everything. We're listening to it. Mike and I fell in love, and I think other people in the office did too. And they're like, oh my God, who is this? We gotta have him. We gotta find out who he is. And she goes, it's my dad, and it's Poppa Steve. Hey, Poppa Steve, how are you?
Oh, Brad, Wolfman Jack coming at you. Oh, I forgot, I'm Poppa Steve.
Poppa. Oh, this is Holly, who is our sales department's father, Poppa Steve. And what's really cool is that you have been a musician since you were what, 20 years old? Earlier than that?
No, earlier than that. I actually had my first band in 1958. And at that time I was in high school, so I would have been around 15, 16.
Oh my gosh. And we have a picture here of you as a young little drummer boy, which is kind of cute. Do you know what year this was taken that we're showing up on the screen? I know you can't see it really.
That would have been even before that, because I didn't have a band with that one picture. That was just when I started playing drums. I was beating up my parents' kitchen with their utensils, and they bought me a drum set to quit me from doing that. And we took that picture down in my rec room at my house. So that would have been probably about mid-50s, 55, something like that.
So cute. And so then you started your own band. And we were talking a little bit about the first couple of bands you did. And the first name, I was like, oh my goodness, that band. And it's the Rhythm Kings, right? Is that what it was?
Rhythm Kings. Yeah, exactly.
So that is so cool. All right, let's talk about your drummer, started doing music, and then eventually you had to take a break and join the military?
Well, after graduation from high school, I did, yes. We had that band all during high school. And here's an interesting thing. This was back in the late 50s. We weren't allowed to play in our high school because we played rock and roll, the devil's music. Until our senior year. We played all over town. We were big all over at the teen clubs and all that stuff, but we weren't allowed to play in our own high school.
Oh my God!
And we had about 2,000 students. And but anyway, finally, in the last semester of our senior year, we were allowed in to play.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's fast forward. Did a little military, and then you came home, and then you got into a band that started to open for some big names like the Four Tops, right?
Correct. Yeah. That was called the Daze Knights, and it was a former member of the Rhythm Kings, my keyboardist, Major Hamberlin, and we started that band, and ended up. William Morris Agency out of Chicago had booked Jack Jones into a club in Rockford, and after that, they came into the club we were playing, and his agent was with him. His name was Bob Ayler, and he came up and asked us, he says, Jesus, would you guys go on the road? And we said, yeah, why not? So they signed us up, and for 3 years, we went on the road and backed up their vocal groups and their single singers, and it was just a hoot, and including the Four Tops.
Yeah, well, but Poppa Steve, you passed over something that's very interesting as we're looking at these pictures, and one is that you guys were breaking color barriers here a little bit. You never really see two white guys and two black guys playing in a band like this so much, did you?
No. The interesting thing was in the 3 years that we toured, we never really had serious problems. We never had anything like that. But there was some discrimination, which was interesting in the fact that one of the guys we worked with a lot was Bobby Goldsboro. And we backed him up in a club in Wisconsin. He liked us and wanted us to tour with him. So the agency said, sure. He had the same agency. So he went on a tour, and he went north and south of the Mason-Dixon line. They wouldn't book us to back him below the Mason-Dixon line, but they booked us in the north. So he had another band that he really liked, which was called the James Gang. And so the agents booked us so that we'd play in the north with him, and for maybe 3-4 one-nighters, And then he'd go south of the Mason-Dixon line. They'd stick us in a nightclub in Detroit or someplace, and we'd play there for a week while he was in the South playing with the James Gang. Then he'd come back up north. We'd join up with him again and carry on. I thought that was interesting that, you know, they had to book the tour because we were a mixed group.
Wow, that is so cool. Listen, I got to wrap up. Can you stay for a moment? I'm going to go to a commercial break, but I want to come back because I want to talk about, I'm going to say, your age and how you're not stopping making music when we've gone to digital and stuff, which is kind of rare for our seniors who are musicians and stuff because they don't know what it's doing. So can you stick around for me? Can you stick around? I'm going to take a quick break.
I'll give it a go.
Okay. All right. Hey, we're going to come back after this break and talk more with Poppa Steve about his CDs that he's making during quarantine in this pandemic. It's amazing. So stick around. All right, welcome back to the Arizona Daily Mix. We've been talking with Poppa Steve, who is Holly, one of our salesperson's father. And we just got done talking about your road to, of course, your music and the road, of course, to where you're at now. And I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying it, but, you know, we've been seeing a lot of the older musicians kind of like not working because we've seen this new technology come in. They're not understanding it. But you have done how many CDs just in this quarantine pandemic all yourself?
During the pandemic, I usually do about 3 a year. And I started this when all the digital equipment started to come into play about 15 years ago.
Wow.
And I usually do about 3 a year. And then this pandemic hit. We're building a new home. We had to live in a hotel for 6 months. And during that 6 months, what did I have? Music. And I just really got in. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't see anybody. And so I just really dove into it and ended up doing a year's worth in 6 months. I did three CDs. The one you have is the second one.
This one right here.
Third one I just completed, which I'll get to.
So I love
that's called Much Obliged.
And there's no vocals. It's more just instrumental. And you're doing it all on GarageBand, or are you using other types of programs?
Well, I do everything in GarageBand. That's how I started doing this, and it was kind of a fluke, just a hobby. It was kind of fun, and then I ended up getting on radio. Ended up on some 100-some stations, and I also some of my stuff got in the movies. I did three of my songs got in a movie that Eduardo Ponte produced and directed and wrote. He was Sophia Loren's son, and three of my tunes were in his thing. And so this became really more than just a hobby.
Yeah.
And so I just continue using GarageBand, but I also use live musicians. Not to the degree that we go into a studio and all work together, but I'll do something and I say, gee whiz, I need a really cool saxophone here, you know, and something really that I can't find. I've got some 50, 60,000 loops of music that I use, and it's like a big giant jigsaw puzzle. I've got to find different pieces of music with different instruments and how to make them all work within a song. But sometimes I'll find something I really want, something special. And like Mike Parlett in LA, his radio on Solar Radio, which is out of London. And he's a saxophone player, really great. And he played my stuff a lot. And so he offered to play some stuff with me, and he did, and it was great. And I've done that with other musicians too.
This is so amazing. And Poppa Steve, can I put you on the spot? I'm going to put you, I have to do this. How old are you?
Well, I will be, Friday, I'll be 77.
77, and you are producing, and we're not talking like just like little instruments here. This is amazing music, and we know that you've produced over 640 songs, and you're still going strong. Can I ask, what is the secret out there? Because I know we have our senior community out there who's probably going, okay, you know, I'm 77, I might be, you know, what's the secret that you have for the Arizona community out here?
Well, some nights a double Tito's works, but it's just a love of music. I mean, I grew up with it, and that's really what I enjoy doing. If you're into something, no matter how old you are, if you really enjoy it and do what you really like and what you think you should do. My stuff is kind of a mixture. I draw on the years when I played and had my bands, and we were early rock and R&B and some soul, and I drew on those and those instrumentations. And but then I wrap it up kind of in a fusion jazz, which is more contemporary. So it's kind of it's familiar, but it's new.
Yeah.
And I love doing it. It's just fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Again, let me just make sure, Poppa Steve, that we let everyone know out there, double Tito's actually helps.
Yeah, it does. Dirty.
Oh my goodness, Poppa Steve, I'm so glad you joined us this morning. I'm so glad your daughter has introduced us to you. You are amazing. Can you tell people where they can find your music?
I'm on about 30 outlets on the internet, everything from Amazon to iTunes to Spotify and on, so they can get them there. They can also get them right off my website, which is, now remember, we're in Arizona, and the label is called Dry Heat Records. If I never thought I'd get that name, and I applied for it, and by God, it was available. I couldn't believe it. So the website is DRYHEATRECORDS.ROCKS, not .com, .rocks.
I love it. Hey, Poppa Steve, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you. I appreciate your daughter and everything. And I tell you right now, I'm looking forward to the next album to listen to. And I don't know, you might be our theme music. What do you think? Maybe we get you to write a theme song for us?
Sure. Heck yeah. Why not? I'd love to. Love to.
All right. Poppa Steve, take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.